In the world of Aren, there were 6 adventurers that started several years ago on an adventure that for them took a couple of months. They had undertaken the idea that evil could be defeated, that good could win out, and they wanted to find a way to preserve the good in Varen and in their little teeny town of Tabernary. Their quest and adventuring and seeking out how to do good took them through all sorts of places. They went adventuring in the dangerous world of Thave. They crossed into Calavier. They ended up fighting a dragon in a ruined city. They went through hell. They even found a way to get into the ancient dwarven Shadow Hall inside the Storm Range Mountains. They went into a Chaloran vault and found a automaton there that had been undisturbed for almost 4,000 years. The reason that they wanted to start it all wasn't just to fix the world that was broken, that they had been left in or they'd been born into, but to make it better, to make it changed. What they weren't aware of was the fact that the reason the world has been broken is because it has been changed. There is a demigod that is affecting the world of Aren named Shermordrin. And in their adventures of trying to find ways to solve the problems and to rid the world of evil, they were encountered and recognized by another demigod, stating that their fate was tied to that of Shermordrin. And if they actually wanted to save the world of Aren, the only way that they could do so would be to stop him. So now they have an entirely different level of quest, an entirely different purpose for the reason that they started adventuring. And Jericho Hemlock, now Vessel from the Chaloran Vaults, Galen, Lord Ansgar Icebeard, and Zaldor are all seeking a way to find Shermordrin and somehow defeat him. Their adventures took them into a place that no one goes into ever, the world of Zexa. When they crossed into that world, reality shifted for them dramatically, not just because of the way the world has been turned, but they literally traveled through what felt like time. They were in a futuristic cyberpunk dystopian world called New Zexa, where everything was now lit up in neon lights and laser guns and cars and skyscrapers, and they were completely out of their element. The whole reason they went to New Zexa, though, was to find the first steps following Shermordrin and locate the Crystal Bell. The Crystal Bell, according to logs that they had found in Shermordrin's old ship, would show them where the key was. And after they can locate the key, it would get them into the quiet room. These are all steps that Shermordrin has already taken, and we have no reason to believe that he wasn't already there. The only reference to Crystal Bell that happened in New Zexa was a person, a CEO of Lysara Technologies named Crystal Bell. So we went to find her. It took a couple of fights and a lot of subterfuge to get in there, but we went and spoke with her. She was confused several times and was not always comfortable with providing information, but did let us know that there is a location actually outside of Zexa in Navarre, another kingdom of Varen, where the key developments were being put together. It was the big project, it was super secret, and it was the compound that she was the most proud of. So we offered to take her with us to go visit this key compound so she could see it, because she remembers there was someone else that also asked about it earlier, but couldn't remember any details. Crystal started coming with us inside of our ship, the Slapjack Scrap Tap, and we took that with us to fly across Lysara to get to our actual ship, the Wake, at this time, the Wake Paradiso, inside New Zexa. However, the moment we left and took Crystal out of her location, all hell started breaking loose. The ArcSec 1 security team started chasing after us, literally firing on us with missiles, demanding that we stop. We evaded them, outflew them, but we were still caught before we could escape on the Wake by a whole group of hunters. Though In the process, it's worth noting that Crystal Bell saw the same things that we were seeing, that when we had her with us, reality kept jumping. We were jumping out of the cyberpunk dystopian News Exa world into our own reality again. Rather than taking an elevator, we were ascending stone stairs. Rather than fleeing on a giant luxury space cruiser, we were back on the wake, and we were haunted by horrific beasts. They weren't robots. They weren't giant droids, at least not in that world. When we were back in the News Exa reality, we were absolutely being attacked by drones and by soldiers. But then they turned out to be undead and twisted haunted girls and Zexan horrors. Galen did an amazing job dispatching one and making sure that we were no longer haunted by what that huge drone was. Zeldor disintegrated the next one, and it finally allowed us to escape News Exa itself if we can make it past the electric storm barrier that seemed to be a wall around the all of News Exa that was there. The Wake Paradisa did blast its way through, and then reality reset. We were back to our normal world. And in fact, when we punched a hole through that storm, very different from when we got into News Exa, the whole thing broke down. Massive amounts of lightning and twinkling gray strands and sparks and bells and all sorts of chaos that went off, very crystalline style. The whole wall around News Exa fell. We'd left it behind because we certainly didn't need to go back there now that we had the Crystal Bell with us and had the plane we were going towards. But as we were flying out, we saw that we were receiving a message, specifically Hemlock received a message from a Lady Avenbrook saying that the High Council was meeting, it was an emergency, and that we were needed immediately at the New Lumine Academy, which was actually north of Navarre. So we flew over Thave, very narrowly avoiding detection by the Blood Witches and the Blood Queen that was there. We flew over our old haunt of Tabernacle. We flew past Mirskan. We flew over the forest, the Fenwood Forest, and made our way into Shepherdsdale, where the New Lumine Academy was. There we met up with Lady Avenbrook, who sent Hemlock that message. Also Headmaster Videl of the Lumine Academy, who indicated that the High Council of the Leaders of Aren, of the Free World of Aren, was staying for exactly one more night, because they have apparently been waiting for us for a long time. See, when we were in News Exa, we thought we were there for a few days. It really felt like a few days. That's all the rest time that we got. But while we were in there, 3 months had passed in the world of Aren since we had left. So, understanding that there has been some changes, we needed to get the news and the information. We met with the council and found a variety of information. While we were studying, there was some backstory that was provided to us about who Sher Mordrin was. This great demigod from another plane who worked with others who were referred to as the Seer and the Fool, and they had imprisoned him because of the fact that he had no longer valued life for what it was. He only valued power. Unable to destroy him or to kill him outright, or unwilling, he was banished to the void. But this happened, according to our information, eons ago. This was before our reality, before our history even. And while in the void, Sher Mordrin found a way to find a connection outside of it, literally using his ability to write and create and to actually imbue reality into the world. He found out that one way that he could connect would be through the emotion of heroes. Us, as we have come to assume, are the heroes that he will to speak to. Going back to the council, we've found out that there is a few things that have happened in the world. To start with, Callian Varro, who normally assembled this council, is missing and cannot be located. There is a bunch of turmoil happening in the world of Aren in the form of nature. The huge battles that we were concerned and had left behind, including the undead up in Reskalon, were no longer a threat. Lord Rykal had been defeated. His general has gone into hiding, and the undead army was beaten back. but not by the armies of Calavier or the doors of Stormhall or the Storm Range. It was because of a dragon named Azirion, who came out of nowhere and kind of disrupted everything that was happening. But in part of that also is disrupting nature, in that the whole world of Varen seems to be undergoing hot flashes and cold flashes of massive blizzards and freezing coming through, followed by immediate heat and creating some really difficult living conditions. As we're discussing the threats of Varen, and we do bring up Sher Mordrin, we do mention what our actual quest is, where we've been, and what we've been up to, we are suddenly visited by a new member of the council who has never been invited before. Lord Zexa, the Lich King of Zexa, left his realm and came in to speak with everyone in the council to inform us of another dragon that has been tormenting him in his lands, a great ghost worm that is affecting all of Zexa right now, and the fact that he is aware of and knows of Sher Mordrin and considers him to be the actual threat to the world. Zexa does something that's never happened before. He offers to ally and to provide help and support in locating Sher Mordrin so that the rest of us can go defeat him, or at least confront him, as he understands that we are connected to him. It does not matter what type of value he perceives or any help he considers to be necessary. Everyone flat out rejects it. Almost everyone flat out rejects it. The leaders of the communities that were there, the lords of the different worlds of Ethlian and Calavier, they all have a consideration for the conversation. But the heroes, every one of the guardians, flat out refuse to make another deal with another villain. It's never gone well for us in the past, and we don't want to start now. Zexa refers to everyone as a council of fools and sends us away, and rescinds his offer and sends us away. We then try to do our best to understand a little bit more about Luminae Academy and our state. We recall that we have the Vedanites and how to make that work. We ended up blowing ourselves out of the ship at one point trying to make it work because we weren't following all the processes, so there's a little bit of research done on that. And one of the things that we were told when we arrived, kind of offhand, was that we shouldn't go in the basement. Right? There's a lot of things that happen in Luminae Academy. The basement's off limits. Well, that immediately rankles Lord Asgar, because Ansgar does not like authority. And I'm kidding. He's fine with authority. He just also doesn't like being told what to do. His own. Clearly. And he didn't want to be told that there was something that is forbidden if he considered anything to be a threat. So he heavily pressed and leaned on Lord Headmaster Videl to get into the basement. Galen tried to sneak in earlier, but was stopped by a guard, indicating that the lead wizard Merrick was not allowing anyone in there ever, as we were previously told by Headmaster Videl. But understanding our plight, understanding the dangers that we are facing and what we're coming up against, Lord Ansgar is insistent. We need to know all of the details. And so Headmaster Videl agrees and grants us passage into the basement. Once we get in there, we find reality seems to shift a little bit in our world, not just in the physical world again, but we perceive each other all as enemies for a hot second. When we break out of that, thank you to Vessel, who calmed everyone's mind in the process, we find that we're in a room full of wizards working diligently in this underground, very heavily guarded experimental lab. And the lead wizard Merrick is there, and he shows us his current work of invention on something called the Axiom Core. The Axiom Core is designed simply to save reality. It is intended to make sure that there are no further occurrences, no further issuances, and no other invasions from any Sher Mordrin or anyone else. Jericho and Zaldor quickly realize that it is wrong It has been put together incorrectly. It is not actually addressing the problem that they have, and it is exceptionally volatile. And if it is interfered with or messed up, it could quite literally glass door everything inside Navarre, and it could just turn the whole place into a solid wasteland. So Zaldor warns him, and Jericho warns him, and Vessel tries to actually turn it off. We all get stopped. No one listens to us, and we are ushered out immediately, where we decide that we should take it on ourselves to dismantle the Axiom core without them knowing, in order to yet again save Varen. And that, my friends, is where the adventure begins.
Hello and welcome to the Inglorious Bards. I'm your salubrious Game Master Tom, and this is Adventure 71 here in Season 6. We are coming to you live on twitch.tv/IngloriousBards every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. We just did a recap about every 5 adventures. We do a recap to help bring people in if they want to jump in and join us right away. So if you want to get caught up on where we've been, take a look at that audio or join us at the beginning of the season. We're certainly happy to have you here sharing in our adventures. I am joined by Derek, our technician here in the studio, as well as Casey Cat in our audience. We have Jeremy playing the part of Zaldor, our human wizard. Zaldor, what do you think of your experiences so far in the Lumine Academy? We've been here for 2 sessions. What's your thoughts so far?
It's a delightfully beautiful area, and it's well maintained and very polite young children who know nothing of magic at all.
All right. Across from you is Lauren, playing the role of Galen, a thaumaturge, a supernatural swordsman. Galen, what's your take on the Academy now that you've been here?
Too many secrets. I don't like secrets. Need to unearth them all and deal with them.
That's not true at all. Every time I tell a secret, he tells me to stop sharing secrets.
Next to you is Christopher playing the part of Vessel, our healer automaton. Vessel, what's your take on the Academy?
It's much too quiet a place. For all the learning they do here, they stay in one place far too long.
Says the beast that was locked up for like 3,000 years.
But he's expanding. He's
Okay.
This is why he knows how that is.
All right. We also have Chris playing the part of Lord Ansgar, our dwarven summoner. Your take on your Lumine experience?
It is suspect in the extreme.
Could I have put any location and gotten the same response from you?
All of this.
7-Eleven
All
is very
71
suspect.
episodes have been suspect.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Lord Ansgar,
And you are a
the
suspect.
children's candy shop. What's your take so
Also
far?
suspect.
We have Alan playing the part of Jericho, our gnome bard. Same question about the Academy.
Oh my goodness, this is one of the most cool places I've ever been. They got singing and they got people learning all sorts of cool stuff, and they got secret basements where they do experiments. They don't always get them right, but at least they're trying.
Okay. And last but not least is Seth playing our fetchling gunslinger Hemlock. Same question.
I do not like it here, and I feel like I'm about to like it a whole lot less.
All right. We are going to pick up from where we last left off, them leaving the basement. But let's get a little bit more of a recap of what happened just on the last session from Jeremy.
Lady Avenbrook and Headmaster Vidal met us as we were called into the High Council of the Free Varin, and it was not going well. There was all sorts of concern about the major threats that are happening in the world. For example, the threats that we were looking for had changed. We were expecting to get updates on the war of the undead that were creeping in from Rescalon all the way down into Calavier and up into Ithlian and Palacia. Turns out that's not a problem anymore, due to the fact that there was a brand new threat, a dragon. The dragon by the name of Azirion, who went in and wiped out the undead army. But the dragon's still here. And there is greater threats of other dragons and other disturbing levels happening in other parts of the world. Also, the druids are nowhere to be found. And Callian Varro, who started this whole party, is also gone. So it's just a lot of panic. It's a lot of people trying to figure out, assessing what the greatest threat is, how to tackle it, and can we bring in these 6 very impressive, very high-level heroes who've already taken out a dragon and employ them. That was kind of where the questions were going with this. But we were all interrupted by a great portal opening up and filling Galen with a horrible sense of doom and literally almost killing and sucking out the soul of Lord Ansgar. Lord Zexa walks into the room, literally through the wall, and entered the place, nearly killing everybody. We asked him to leave. He offered help with the addition of creating a soul pact, literally binding our souls to him if any threats were taken against him or if we actually required his help. Everyone denied it. Nearly everyone denied it. Zaldor thought it might be reasonable, but it was quickly outvoted. Zexa left and considered everyone a council of fools, which left everyone in a panic about now a whole new threat that's been appearing that was no longer an ally, but still an ongoing issue now, because Zexa apparently is no longer keeping to himself. The reason Zexa came, though, was because of the very clear awareness of Sher Mordrin and the dangers that Sher Mordrin poses. We informed the rest of the council about what our actual goals were and that Sher Mordrin is our target. That's why we're doing what we're doing, and that's who we're hoping to end the problems that we're experiencing. But they just kind of tacked it on and added it to the list. So we finally had a solid conversation about what we were going to do. We might be able to help out with one of the dragons that are nearby in northern Navarre at Old Castle Lake, but we are also going to pursue hunting down Sher Mordred and seeing if we can find out his next location. Before we do, however, Lord Ansgar was warned, as we all were, by Master Videl to not go into the basement. Galen tried, failed. It was blocked by a guard and was told the place was entirely, completely off limits because lead wizard Malbec said so and really wanted to make sure that nobody ever went into this place. Ansgar doesn't like being told no. And he's not used to it. He's a lord, so he worked on intimidating Headmaster Videl to really make sure that we could get into the basement because it's important to know what's in there, especially if we're assessing new threats. Headmaster Videl, intimidated more than anybody has ever been intimidated, finally agrees and lets us in. When we finally get in there, he casts a spell over his mind because of the void magic in there that causes him pain and indicates that happens to everyone that enters the room. Eventually does let us in. When he does, we all walk into a different room, a different reality. It's like a giant mansion foyer, and immediately identify each other as enemies. We get into a scuffle until Vessel saves us all, gives us a calm mind, and kind of shows us what is really real and how we really are. And the room changes. We're back into the basement of the Lumine Academy, surrounded by wizards who are working diligently in a lab, surprised that we're there because they're expecting to be undisturbed. And the lead wizard Malbec is there. And he does indicate that he doesn't want us here. And then lets us know what he's working on. He has in front of him a giant magical artifice that he's putting together with bronze and metal coils around this globe that he calls the Axiom Core. The intent of the Axiom Core is to make sure that reality no longer is being messed with. It is to prevent anyone in Navarre being attacked by silver cords or different strands that affect reality because they've been noticing the changes that have been coming. Jericho and Zeldor take a look at the Axiom Core and realize that he's doing it entirely wrong. He's using extraplanar magic, not using temporal magic, and has inadvertently created a massive, massive bomb. And if it gets affected, if it gets attacked by any sort of reality element at all, it will go off and very likely glass all of Navarre. So doing our best to warn him of his danger, lead wizard Malbec promptly ignores our warnings. Zaldor was sure that he came up with an amazing reasoning and had a really, really great speech prepared. It didn't come out well at all because he's not diplomatic. It just mostly turned into screaming. So we were cast out. We left the room, but are super aware of the imminent and urgent and immediate danger that room poses and the Axiom Core that's within it. So we started scheming on how to stop it ourselves. And believe it or not, that's where we left off. So let the adventure begin.